Okay, let's say it's a bullying issue, school issue. You don't even have discipline in schools. So what is there to counteract a bully? You don't do nothing but talk to them and send them right back to the same class with the same kid that they're bullying.
Come on, sir.
They bring weapons to school and go right back to class.
Mm-hmm.
How does this happen? Nobody gets expelled anymore. No child left behind and everything and all this type of stuff. And it's like you create scenarios, you create conditions that make this more prevalent. If a kid goes and reports a bully, what are you doing? And where are the parents? There is something behind this that nobody is really addressing. And so you get a kid who grows up in a world where do what you want, do what you feel. And I don't care what nobody say. The games they play, music they listen to, all this plays a part in it. It all plays a part. Mm-hmm. You sit online playing shooting games the whole time for hours on end. That messes with you.
You desensitized.
But maybe that's a part of the training.
Listen,
if I can raise up generationally a group of desensitized individuals, then I can craft their own paths based on what I want to infuse them with. So I've seen young people take on ideologies over the past 2 years, 3 years, whatever, that you saying there's no way you got that ideology as young as you are, especially what you've been exposed to. That's been taught to you. That's been fed into you. I'll use another word. That's been brainwashed into you. And now you believe it. Now you believe it. Now it is a part of your DNA. And that makes you dangerous.
But if
you don't get your own mind till later on in life. The most part, when you're a young person, you regurgitating with things you've heard from other people.
Right. Right.
But the games that they're playing, okay. I remember in school, the kids would, one of those games is, I don't know the name of the games. I know that I saw one of the kids playing the game. You know, they give them free time or whatever, and they playing games. It looks like blood when it's shot. You know, you shoot somebody, you know, it's like dripping. I mean, it's so lifelike.
Oh yeah.
So when you see it in reality now, you know, you should be like, oh my gosh, but all that whole mechanism is like, you know, oh, okay, there's some blood there, whatever, you know, no biggie. Or when, I don't know if you remember when Grand Theft Auto came out, they said it was unbelievable how many of those discs sold. And then they want to know how these kids learn how to do what's it called when a carjacking and all these different things, all kinds of grand larceny. They didn't know any of this. I mean, I'm saying it helped them to understand and what you got to do because it was so lifelike. It's not even funny.
You remember Ride Along? Do you remember the scene in Ride Along when Kevin Hart was in the gun store and he started calling off all these gun facts?
Yep.
He started calling off of this stuff, and he wasn't even in law enforcement. Ice Cube was the cop, and he didn't know all this stuff. He's like, man, how do you know all this stuff? He said, because we play Call of Duty and all this stuff all the time. This is how he knew all the weaponry. See, but we old folks, when we start saying these kids need to stop listening to all this stuff and watching all this stuff, we old and we outdated, we antiquated, but we understand everything that you're exposed to affects your mind. Everything.
But I want to go deeper here in this conversation because to me, the answers to some of the problems that we're having here is in this next question I'm going to ask. Why? And what I mean by that is, what is to be gained societally for the demise of people? Or is there a control thing? Is it just about financial? Is it an expression of hate? What is to be gained from all of this? Because that's the part that's throwing me off. Like the Buffalo thing is so insane to me. It's clear that that's obviously a racist situation, well-financed racist situation, right? But then you have the Uvalde thing that seems to be a Hispanic on Hispanic crime, and we will never know why, because the perpetrator is gone. So why would somebody finance a Buffalo? Why would somebody finance an Uvalde? Why would somebody finance any of these things? The drive-by shooting at the high school. What are we missing, society, where this is a thing?
What did Herschel Walker say?
Oh, I haven't listened to Herschel.
I mean,
you didn't pay attention to what he said?
I didn't hear what he said.
As kind of, I'm not gonna go there. God bless him. But he was trying to push for stricter surveillance on people's private things.
Oh yeah. I did hear about that.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
So you can justify government surveillance of people on a regular basis, because we're doing this to stop or to curb the violence that's going to happen. You know what we're going to end up with? And it's the reason why you got to pay attention to movies. This is Minority Report.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, when they would have these people who would project that crimes were going to be committed by certain people, and you would get arrested off of projection that you would commit a crime. We headed that way.
But what's to be gained from that, though? Is that just because the prison system makes so much money, and so they can? I'm trying to, what I'm saying? You're trying to kind of look at the breadcrumbs and say, who stands to win? Who stands to gain from these actions? If A is true, and I believe that it is, how does A plus B equal, and who gets to be C in this equation? Because C is the one that gets to win. And I'm trying to understand how it all unfolds.
You just know that there is something, or you feel like there's something behind it. It may be 20 years before we find out exactly what's going on.
Right.
Because the way information is handled in this country, and with all the sensationalism and all of there are decisions that are being made, and nobody wants you to pay attention to that. So something else will pop off to draw your attention away from it. And now they can't say, well, we did say it, we did put it out there, but I was distracted by something else that was going on. And it's only till you sit back and look at the whole thing and you say, yeah, this stuff is not as random as we say. FBI got people who specifically look at these things to look for patterns.
Right.
So I guarantee you they done found something out.
I think, it feels like something, but then the other side of that is the FBI works for the federal government. So how much will we really know, if any, to the truth of what's going on? But go ahead, Mama. I know you're about to say something.
Well, I'm thinking about when I was watching Enemy of the State. And right when Regina was like, okay, we're giving them permission to monitor. Who monitors the monitor? She said. Well, I mean, the way they was able to keep up with him, that throughout the whole movie, I'm sitting there thinking, I got online and Googled something I was looking for earlier. Next thing I know, it's in my news feed on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Or I'm looking up somebody and I said, okay, I just wanted to check. Next thing I know, it's in my recommendations on YouTube. Yeah. I'm going, okay. Or when I get really irritated, I just start speaking over my phone and say, sure would be nice if I had some Chipotle. And then all of a sudden, Chipotle comes into my Gmail in promotions and goes, well, that Chipotle's got a guacamole discount. I'm like, what is going on? It's almost like the only way for you to get, quote, peace of mind, you got to go outside with no phone, no Apple Watch, nothing that
He
has
ain't off the grid.
anything, is, you know, and sit out in the middle of in the woods and hope there ain't nothing in the trees. I mean, because everything's listening.
It's a fascinating situation that we're in, a place that we're in history right now, because somebody or something or some entity or some group is truly benefiting from all of this. And it feels that way. It really feels that way, because the logical nature of what is taking place compared to the sensationalized nature of why we won't fix it is baffling. It's baffling. This isn't rocket science. Kids being killed, that's not rocket science. That's not, to fix that problem is not rocket science. So the fact that we're willing, or it feels like we're willing to sacrifice lives, not just kids, but all lives, for some X thing, that is really fascinating to me, because I'm going, what is the end game? What is the end game to this? Like, it can't be just as simple as the NRA is pouring out all this money into the Republicans and they get the, yes, I mean, I get that. I hear that and I understand what you're saying. But Republicans are dying too in these situations. I guarantee you.
Here's the sad reality. When you look at people from a totality standpoint, if you say in America there's so many million people, if 100,000 die, oh, that's just maybe 2%.
Right.
Put it in those terms, they're like, oh, 2%. That ain't bad. And you have people, this is how they see the world. This is how they see the country.
Yeah.
And people, they say CEOs are sociopaths. They say most of them are sociopaths because the decisions they have to make, although they're affecting people's lives, if they got to let go 20% of people, which represents people's livelihoods, they still gonna let them go, and they can't feel a certain way about it. The people who make the decisions, they're so far removed from people,
yeah,
in their lives and what's happening. They make decisions because these things they're just numbers on a page to them. To us, these are lives, but to people who looking from a certain perspective, they just numbers on a page.
I heard one of my favorite shows, The West Wing. There was a scene in season 1 where the president had to make a decision as to whether or not in the final hours of an execution he would go through with it, or stay the man who was to be executed, stay his execution. And he brought in a priest to have a conversation and said, I'd like to talk to you because I feel like this is in conflict with my moral beliefs, because he was a Catholic and he believed in, forgiveness and, those type of things. He definitely didn't believe in the death penalty. And he said, what should I address you as? And he said, well, I want you to address me as the president, but it's not ego. He said, in these decisions, it's better to be thought of as the office rather than a person. And I never forgot that, because I'm saying, is this where we are? That the end must not does justify the means, but must justify the means. In other words, what we gain financially from what happens in these mass shootings, or what we gain financially from the political capital or the financial capital that we gain to run for office and maintain our power, far outweighs the deaths that are taking place. So back to your point, if 1% of the people have to die for me to maintain my office for the next 8 years, that's a small price to pay in some people's mind, which is scary. It's a very scary thought. Because if that is a reality, and if that is at the core of what we're truly dealing with as a country, then we're beyond just the flaw of the Constitution. Our Constitution has left us vulnerable to and exploitation that, dare I say, we may not be able to correct.
And this is why you do not need career politicians.
That is correct. Yeah, yeah.
The further you sit in that office, the more far removed you are from the actual people you're representing. And so you are now part of that group.
Yeah.
You don't have an affinity to the people that you're representing. You're more loyal to your compadres who sit where you're sitting. And you forget the fact that you represent your constituents. What are their pains? You don't have your own pains as a politician. Your pains are the pains of the people. Whatever they're feeling, you're supposed to be feeling what they're feeling. You don't make decisions off what you feel. You make decisions off what they feel if you're a true politician. And the longer you sit in that seat, you get far removed from their pains. And you just let things go and let things pass. And they're steadily hurting, but you're not hurting because your bills are paid. Your kids going to school and all this other type of stuff, all the benefits you get from sitting in that seat, and you don't even care anymore.
Wow. Let me reset the room real quick because it looks like we got some new people in the room. That's perfect. Welcome to the show. We're having a great discussion tonight on what we call Talk That Tuesday, where we pair two questions together into one bigger question. And we got the thought engineer, Derrick Smith, in the building. Is the gun violence problem linked to gun laws, or is gun violence linked to broken neighborhoods and people? I want to expand this question a little bit into what you just said a little bit there, Derrick, because I think there's something here we have never explored, or I've never explored publicly like this. We vote the politicians in. That's as simple. It can't get any simpler in a process than that. Well. In theory.
You won't go down that rabbit hole. Okay.
Right. In theory, we vote the politicians. Okay. When I say that, I say that in regards to this reality. Are we fully aware? And this is a hard question to ask, but are we fully aware of the true belief system of those who we empower to represent us? And here's what I mean by that. Y'all not going to like what I'm about to say, but it needs to be said. Somebody came up with a catchy phrase in 2012. They said, Black Lives Matter. And we all were like, yeah. And we rallied behind it. And we said, we put all our money and support into this. And here we are in 2022, uncovering that maybe that wasn't the right. We rushed to representation. But it's not surprising that we rushed to representation, because historically, especially I would say in the last 30 years, we always rush to representation. We don't know these guys. We don't know their politics. Hell, most of us don't even vote in the midterm elections. We don't know. We don't know what we're putting in the office. We're voting among party lines and saying, I'm a Democrat. My mama was a Democrat. My granddaddy was a Democrat. I'm voting Democrat. I'm Republican. My daddy was a Republican. My granddaddy was a Republican. I'm voting Republican. We have no idea of the belief system. And maybe the reality of it is it's all three-card money. They're all sitting at the table, and they're all moving the cards around, and we can't see which one is which, and we're all getting taken advantage of in the backside of a deal that we create, we empower them to do.
I just know there's a problem when you have somebody who's on their 12th or 13th term and you get a new guy in who probably has the heart of the people, but he has to bow down because he doesn't have the seniority. That type of seniority shouldn't exist in those places. Because it becomes a slow moving train and everybody else's lives are speed up, but everything else slows down because it's trying to preserve something for whoever has the money.
Yeah.
They for sale, man. And we all know that.
Yeah.
They don't speak their own voice. Listen, that's the problem with campaigning. If I give you $1 million, guess what's coming along with it? My thoughts and opinions and what I feel you should do.
Yeah. You know, to your point, President Obama's greatest flaw was that he cared, that he actually brought empathy to the office. That empathy does not align with political agenda. In fact, it is a cancer to a political agenda. If you actually care about people and you actually want to see people win, you're a problem in Washington. You're a real problem, because that's not what we do here. We make deals. So there was no room for him to make deals because he stood on principles. That's not how you would go back and listen to everything President Obama said. It was always about the American people want something better than this. The American people want this. The American people want that. The American people want that. That was his mantra. Well, listen, bro, if you're gonna be in Washington, you can't be talking about the American people. Washington don't care what the American people want. We'll give them. We're Washington is Marie Antoinette. Let them eat cake. What do we have back there? Cake? That's fine. Let them eat cake. As long as they can't see how the cake was made or see that there's a buffet table behind me.
Yeah.
That's the scary part about this, because I don't know how you fix a system when everybody's in on the take.
Wow.
Well, if you start off with bad eggs, you're gonna end up with a bad omelet.
Right.
And one thing about it, whatever you put in that office, whatever you put in that police uniform, whatever, you empower whatever beliefs they have. You empower those beliefs.
Yeah.
And nobody is asking what they actually believe. We ask our own personal things. How do you feel about, you know what I'm saying, what you gonna do about this, what you gonna do about that? But nobody's probing them to see what's in them, what's really in them.
Yeah.
Everything is orchestrated, and we're the puppets. And our lives are expendable to them because they're sitting insulated from real life. When you're insulated from real life, it's just like people that make rules for teachers. Most of them have never been in a classroom. That's foolishness. That's foolishness. You should have to sit in a classroom at least 2 years before you become a superintendent or anybody up there. You need to sit in the classroom in at least 2 years before you say, look at that Bessie DeVos mess. That was a bunch of foolishness.
That was crazy. Oh my God, it was so bananas. Yeah.
But it was the perfect picture of how we handle things in this country. It's not about qualifications, it's about who my buddy is, how much money they're gonna give me, who gonna support my foolishness. Yeah, that's all we care about. We don't care about people in this country.
I want to read what L.H. Henderson. Sora, okay. She says, both in my perspective, broken neighborhoods and poor gun laws. My brother was murdered at the age of 21. The murderer was legally able to purchase a firearm because he was of age, sound mind, military vet, and idea candidate, right? He made a horrible decision that changed the course of our lives. He was from our community and he knew better, but behaved differently. And the scary part about it is to co-sign what she just said, and thank you for sharing that testimony. You didn't have to do that. We appreciate that. The scary part about what she just shared is that the sound mind part, there was nothing in place. Because that's the X factor right there, right? There's nothing in place right now to really, truly vet what that means. Sound mind, does that mean you understand the cost of the gun, the cost of the bullets? You know how to shoot it? You know how to, what does that mean? There's no way to vet it, and there's no way to yet. We will take the psychological profile of an FBI agent, a CIA agent, a Secret Service agent. We do a weak job at the police department. We could do better with that, but we don't have a way for somebody to be looked at and evaluated for what they really are. And that's a scary thing, because that's where the rubber is meeting the road in our society. We're allowing people who clearly have some problem, a mental issue or an emotional one, to have a recourse to retaliate for their pain. And that's not right.
This is where I become unpopular with people sometimes.
Uh-oh.
The whole thing about eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, it wasn't about what happened to that person. It's about thinking about what will happen to you if you do something to that person. If an eye for an eye means if you value your eye, leave other eyes alone. If you value your tooth, don't touch nobody else's.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And I understand this. And everybody loves to say, oh, God was, he was this bloodthirsty guy. No, he wasn't. This was grace. God was as graceful in the Old Testament as he was in the New Testament. There's somebody to prove me wrong. Here's the thing about it. Nobody values other people anymore because they don't value themselves. See, this is what we do. You create a situation where anger is at its peak, and then you throw weapons in there. What they gonna do to it?
Yeah.
You know what? It hit me like a ton of bricks when I understood what comfort food was.
Oh, okay.
Like comfort food. Who is more prone to comfort food?
The people who are the more downtrodden, the depressed, the frustrated, the angry. Okay, black people.
Black people.
I was trying to stay away from that, but you're right.
But why would we need comfort food? Because everything else was such a mess.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we can control.
This is how we comforted ourselves.
Yeah, it makes us feel better.
It made us feel better. But that must mean that things outside of the kitchen must have been that much bad, that much worse.
I got a theory that I got to throw at you because that's a great statement you just made. And it reminds me of a theory that I threw out to Kenyatta this weekend. So I don't know if you guys heard. You may or may not have heard this, but the Monique situation. She came back at DL again over his child. And she said, you could not protect your own child from a man who did something to her. You didn't even believe her, right? So DL had to come on the radio today and say, first of all, it wasn't a man that did something to my child. It was another 13-year-old boy. It was not some molestation of a man to a child. It was a 13-year-old boy. Now, he said, I was wrong for not believing her that this 13-year-old boy did something to my 13-year-old child. I was wrong, and I own that. But for you to even bring that up, it makes you a monster. So I asked myself, same question you asked about comfort food, I asked about why would a person keep sabotaging their own success? Tyler, DL, Steve Harvey, Will Packer, everybody. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I love the ton of bricks section of the show that we're in right now, Derrick. She's afraid to defend that Oscar. Because if you keep sabotaging it and everybody else won't give you a chance, it's not your fault that you didn't rise to the level of occasion for your work. It's everybody else's fault. I can blame everybody else for my failures. I don't have to justify not being able to because see, now I'm about to be exposed. Because if I can't rise back to that level, or I don't believe I can rise to that level, now I'm exposed as a one-off. It was a one-off. It was a fraud. It was a whatever. So now the sabotage works on my behalf. I can blame because the actions, here's the reason why we're bringing this to the table the way we are. The actions don't make sense. That's the common bond of what we're talking about. The actions don't make sense. So when the actions are so far-fetched, you got to look at the reasoning and say, Who stands to gain? Monique stands to gain. Because if I sabotage the whole thing, if I burn all the bridges down and I'm on the island by myself, it's everybody else's fault because they won't get me off the island.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Who was at every scene of the crime? You got to look at that.
But see, which is the problem? Which is the ultimate problem? Which is the ultimate problem that we're talking about? Man, I sure appreciate you coming through, my brother.
Hey, man,
all this knowledge and whatnot.
I got some opinions.
You got some opinions, my brother. You got some opinions. We appreciate you. Tell everybody when they can catch you.
All right, you can catch me Overcomers Empowerment Ministries every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube, as well as Roku. If you have a Roku device, you can catch us on Roku TV at the BS3 TV channel. And also Man Talk Mondays every Monday at 7 p.m. Central on the same channels, Facebook, YouTube, and the BS3 TV channel on Roku as well. So check us out.
And you can go back and watch all the Man Talk Mondays on that. They got them all right there. Just go and click and watch and to your heart's content.
Absolutely. Check us out. Appreciate
you, sir. Appreciate you coming through, man.
No problem. Y'all have a good one.
All right, brother. Man, this is a good show. I'm Mama Noise. I'm looking at this whole thing because this went a different way than I initially thought it was going to go. I'll be honest with you. This went a way different way I thought it was going to go. And when you look at this money thing, that's the X factor. That's the X factor, Mama Noise. $9,000 worth of stuff. You know how many bullets that is? That's like a duffel bag full of bullets.
That's
maybe 2 duffel bags full of bullets.
Down payment on a house. That's
an old used car.
A whole used.
Dude was walking around with an old used car on his back.
I mean, was it birthday money? Was it?
No.
Well, he was living with his grandparents, so I think he had fell out with his mama. So I'm just trying to figure out, what.
Listen. I don't know how either of those boys were able to come about that much money to be able to do what they did. Right, birthday money. That's funny. I don't know how either one of those boys were able to do what they did, but here's what I do know. Somebody stands to gain from all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And therein lies the problem. Because whoever stands to gain is the real murderer. Right, Ron? Follow the money. So now when you understand that, it makes you see the crimes differently. It makes you see it differently. Because now it's not just that dude committed a murder or a mass murderer. Something else is going on in our society. And so, listen, you can argue with Beto O'Rourke all you want to. Maybe he'll win the governorship in November. I pray that he will. We'll see. But one thing is for certain. When he called out Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor here, he did the right thing because, man, you are to blame.
Facts.
You are to blame. You the moment you made it easier for people to go, why are you making it easier? What is to gain by me making it easier? Let's put some real numbers behind it. 18-year-olds being able to go buy guns in a state of Texas.
I mean, come on. I mean, I'm ready to say at age 25.
Listen, I got no problem with 25.
I'm just saying.
I mean, you had a state of maturity of a high nature. But again, we got to get to a place where the AR-15, surely we can admit that the AR-15 should not be in the hands of every person. My God, that shouldn't be hard. We talked about this yesterday. If you need an AR-15 to hunt, you suck as a hunter. You are a terrible hunter. You need an AR-15 to go hunt? You're the worst hunter on planet Earth.
I mean, listen, what are you hunting?
It doesn't matter. You suck. You're a terrible hunter. You need 200 bullets to hit one target?
I'm just saying.
Get out the game, man. Unless you're in the game for a reason.
Uh-oh.
Therein lies the problem that we're talking about, Mama Noise. So I'm you know, when I listen to conversations like what we're having today, I know we need better gun laws. We do. And I understand what Derrick said about there's too stringent laws favor the criminals, the evil. And so we don't want to make it so stringent and so difficult that the criminal will have the easier way to commit the crime because they can get a gun before you and I can. I get that. But we can't let it be just fair game like it is now. Surely there's a balance point to all of it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just trying to make sense of it. It's just so the bad guys can go out and get guns off the street. They can get unmarked guns and stuff just by knowing the right person and having the right amount of money.
Right.
You got some like the governor out in California that was like, we're going to have a buyback program and just pass out gas cards in exchange for guns, gas for guns.
But what happens to those guns? That's the real question.
Well,
when we buy back these guns, where do they go? Do we melt them down?
Yeah, I was going to say they're supposed to go to the incinerator.
But do they? Is there video evidence that they went to the incinerator? Or did they somehow end up back in circulation?
Well, you know, sometimes they end up in the police evidence lockers where, you know, all those things. But then I'm not trying to be, you know, weird or nothing. But then when I start thinking about all of my favorite movies where somebody's broke into the evidence locker and got what they wanted, or somebody broke in the truck that was on its way to the incinerator with the guns and passed them all out in the community. I mean, it's just, they didn't get it anywhere. They got it from somewhere.
Mama Noise, I would like to believe that our government, when they do these buyback programs or I would like to believe there is nobility in their activities. I just don't know if that's real or not.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if it's real or not. I'm gonna tell you something. I'll go back to this. I've studied politics the majority of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was something different about President Obama the moment I saw him speak, because I'm saying this dude seems like the real thing. Like, he seems genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he is. I think he is completely genuine in everything that he tries to attempt to do. Okay. I think he tried with levels of integrity and nobility that, dare I say, the office had maybe never seen ever. That is a challenging thing to do in an environment where the lie wins most days. Politics, the lie wins most days.
Well, I knew when I first heard him that, you know, he didn't give me the shake and fake vibe.
Right.
You know, I heard different ones, you know. I think if he finally got voted out of office, but, you know, I had, you know, issue with like the mayor here where I'm going, you know, we get, as a country, get kicked into a pandemic, and then the mayor is hiding out in the mansion. You know, you're like, come on, sir, come on. You're not gonna stand out front and lead us. You just going, well, as for me and my house, my kids just got on from college. We finna stay locked up in here till the smoke clears. It's like, what? So I mean, yeah, I have a great issue with the fact that I need to be able to, you know, feel in my heart something, something about that particular person. I felt that way about President Obama.
And like Ron said, right now the lie is more powerful than the truth. We're in a scary state right now, and we're trying to sort all of this out and trying to get to some place of balance and transparency, and people are working overtime to keep the lie alive. Keep the lie alive. Remember Martin? Keep the lie alive. It's that situation. They're working overtime to keep the lie alive. And I'm telling you, the crazy part about political lies now is that they do it in plain sight. Like we saw it, and they still try to talk you in. Governor Abbott sat there on that podium, on that stage, after we all saw what happened.
Yeah.
And said, well, clearly this is an issue of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, are you crazy? So you just want to ignore your lying eyes and go with what I tell you.
Well, that's why it was powerful when Beto O'Rourke bust up in there and was like, man, you need to quit. Quit with the lying. I mean, he was just like, I was floored when he came in there, but I was like, about time. Somebody just stood up and said, okay, enough.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I want to see laws. Shout out to Governor Hochul. I think it's Hochul in New York for pulling the trigger on the gun laws today. Now,
yeah,
I will say this. As we speak right now, she is in a Democratic gubernatorial debate for her job. So is it coincidental that she chose to drop these gun laws on the day of the debate? I think not.
No.
So there's always an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. This is I don't know how correctable this problem is.
She letting folks know. Just go ahead and do it. Just do it like Nike. Just you need to go ahead and just.
She definitely made a bid for herself in this particular situation because now, she got the whole state going, wow, she did something that nobody's been able to do, for whatever. But the reality of it is that I don't know if that's enough to win the seat. And does that make her still the right candidate? Like maybe she is, maybe she isn't. I don't know. But I don't, politics is such an ugly, hard place to figure out because.
Well, but we needed somebody to go ahead and I don't want to say for the lack of better words to pull the trigger. It's too many times that politicians get to a certain place in office and then they want to start, sugarfooting around with you make all these promises on the campaign trail and then you get into office and then you act like you got amnesia. And it's like, you said you was going to do something about that. We're working on it. And then they hope that we just don't ask no more about it.
But you know what? And you're 1000% correct. I think the challenge of even that though, is that beyond the fact that they think we won't ask about it, they've already gotten what they needed from it. It's like the lie of the politician is similar to the lie that somebody that borrows money from you is.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you back that $5,000. I'll give you. So here's the irony for you. And I ain't talking about somebody like $200 or something. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about real money.
Okay.
So here's the irony. I was not aware that Lee Daniels, the director Lee Daniels, borrowed or got an investment from Dame Dash to do some of the film stuff that he was doing. He got $2 million from Dame Dash. $2 Mama Noise. This was back in, well, I'm not sure when he got the money,
Mm-hmm.
But I do know in 2018 he hadn't paid the $2 million back yet. Now, why is that significant? Let me tell you why. Because like I said, I don't know when he borrowed the money. But I can tell you this. He borrowed it from one of the films that he's already made or one of the shows that he's already made. Here's what he's made since he's been out. Because Lee Daniels hadn't been out forever. But he's been out quite some time. I think he hit it super big with Precious, right?
Oh, yeah, there's no question that.
And then came back with The Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came back with Empire. Then he came back with Star. Then he came back here recently with United States versus Billie Holiday. Now, my point to say to all of you is he borrowed the $2 million. So you're trying to tell, let's say he borrowed it in, I don't know, maybe I should Google it. Wouldn't that be something if Google told me when did Dame
Oh my gosh.
When did Lee Daniels?
You know what's funny about what you're saying is that one of my Facebook friends posted on in my newsfeed. It said, "Why is it that when you need to borrow money from somebody, you got a great attitude, and then when it's time to pay it back, you say, here go your funky little video, you know, here go your little $200 or your funky old $200. Why I gotta be little old and funky old when you're paying it back? But when the person's needing it, it's like, you know, I really need it. I really could use your help. And you're humble and all of that when you're requesting it. But to give it back, man, you just turn into a person with attitude.
So here's irony right here. You ready for this? He borrowed it in 2005 to fund his very first film, which was a film with Cuba Gooding Jr. called Shadow Boxer.
I never even heard of it.
That was in 2005. Dame jammed him up in 2018 and said, "Hey man, where's my money?"
Never heard of it.
2005. So
where they do that at?
Huh?
Where they do that at? Where, you know, we just might need to check our circle of friends. You got friends that you can just borrow $2 million from and get away with. Why ain't he sued him?
He finally did. Dame finally did sue him in 2018.
After 16 years.
Well, listen, better late than never, I guess. They settled the lawsuit in 2018. And then he paid and reimbursed him his $2 million. But that was in 2018, 2019.
Wow.
But why do I have to do all that though? Because you know what Lee Daniels' net worth is?
What?
It's at least $30 million.
But Lord, if you can get, apparently he got away with it. If you can get away with it where you saying, okay, let me make this money first, and then you keep on putting it off, and then you finally make the money, you ain't ready to start paying back $2 million of it.
But here's my point though. How is what politicians do to us for our vote any different than what Lee Daniels did to Dame Dash?
Okay.
You saying 2005, you couldn't have paid that back? I can say the same thing about politicians that promise us stuff and they don't ever pay us back either. And we keep giving them our vote. Our vote is like a $2 million investment. We're investing in this politician to do the right thing. And they never pay us back.
Okay.
They have, listen, you complain about it all the time. Man, when we gonna get this anti-lynching bill? When we gonna get these civil rights bill? When we gonna get this amendment change that says we're 3/5 of a man?
That's right.
When we gonna get reparations? Why we keep giving our vote away like a $2 million loan?
Like it don't have no value.
Never getting paid back. Huh?
Like it don't have no value.
Like it doesn't have value. And here's what's ironic. Lee Daniels knew the $2 million had value. That's why he asked for it. Same thing. Politicians know this vote has value. Each vote has value. The collective black vote has value. And they keep asking us for it. We keep giving it away. And we get nothing in return. We're still waiting to get paid back.
I don't know if you've heard this, but I was looking at the news this morning, and they said it was a 12-year-old boy that walked into a gas station. He was at school and told his friends, I want to rob a gas station. What's the closest one that doesn't have that good of security? And they told him this one down here. They told him the name of it. I don't want to say it on there. They told him the name of the gas station. He went in there, pulled out a gun, and said, put all the money in the backpack.
I saw that video.
To age 12. Now, granted, they found him, but the lady who was at the cash register was shook. Nerves is completely bad when a child, you thinking, okay, I got to keep an eye on everybody who comes in the store as a cashier. But you thinking, okay, this is a 12-year-old, I shouldn't have to worry about him other than stealing something without paying for it. And I'm not looking for him to put no gun in my face talking about give me all the money. And he did it for kicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And I think I remember the interviewer said, well, they were like, where did he get it? Where did he get the gun? His father's gun locker. So apparently he done watched it enough times to know the code to get it in the gun locker. Because they always say, well, you got to have a gun locker. The gun locker is going to make sure.
Okay, but Mama Noise, I'm not sure why you brought that story up, but I'm going to comment anyway. But why? So what do I do? Arrest the dad? What's your point of bringing it up? I guess I'm trying to understand.
I guess I'm saying that we were talking about that it was age 16, 18, 21, 25 or whatever to raise the age of being able to get. But this child was 12 and got it at home from his grown daddy. So, having a license, being able to purchase it, he didn't have to go purchase it.
Are you saying that when you buy a gun, we need to? But how do you nobody's going to pass that law where you gotta, in order to purchase a gun in America, you gotta qualify, pass a background check, and also pass a storage check. Well, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it's a law that'll never pass.
Maybe then it needs to be like you were saying initially, is that perhaps parents should be held accountable. Maybe if parents are accountable, they'll make the extra effort to make sure that it is not in no lockbox that's so easily for a child to.
Well, I think the law, believe it or not, I think the laws do hold parents accountable for this type of stuff, especially when they're underage like this. But the problem is what we said earlier, there's no national registry to make sure that all of the components of here are covered. So where did you buy the gun? Where did you buy the bullets? Can we match the bullets back to the serial number that's in the registry? Can we match the gun back to the registry? How did the kid get the gun? So if the kid got the gun because of a parent's negligence, then automatically both the kid and the parent are at fault. That's the way it needs to be set up. If a kid uses parents' gun for crimes, I think you should. I think you should be charged. Parents have to be. There has to be a level of responsibility tied to this thing that holds us all accountable. Otherwise, it's what we got now.
I remember back in the day when you used to get in trouble if it was if they used to come take you to your house where your kids were. I mean, where your parents were, and say, we called Johnny doing XYZ or whatever, like for the parents to deal with. You remember that? That I didn't have too many friends that that were, picked up by the police, but I do understand that they would take your child if they were doing something wrong or whatever and bring them home and say, we called Johnny doing XYZ. But in other words, hoping that the parent would say, he did what? I'll make sure that so and so and so and so. But, we're basically saying if we don't hold the parents accountable, we're going to keep on having bigger and bigger juvenile detention centers.
Yeah. We got a real problem, man. We got a real problem in this country right now. And I'm not sure if we want to fix it. That's where I'm arriving at today. I'm not sure if we want to fix it.
Well,
I'd like to think that we do. I'm definitely going to revisit this when Cuz gets back because I know he's going to have a lot of things to say. But I just don't know if we want to fix it. That's the question I have today. Is this something that we truly want to address and get better at? Or have we reached a new normal to where we are fully accepting of all of this?
Yeah.
Or have we always been at this normal and it's just been 3-card money the whole time?
No, I think it's the latter. I think that we have come to a place where we're like, man, I guess this is the way it's going to be. Things is changing. So it's changed to this, like it's beyond repair. Just like the other night when Pastor Noise was on and was like, man, I went back to my old hood and I didn't recognize nothing. It was, I could certainly relate. I hadn't been back to where I grew up in a really long time. But the one time that I did ride through there, it brought me to tears to see how the houses were like crack houses and they were just torn up. I mean, the neighborhood was unrecognizable. I mean, all the childhood, the bakery and all that type of stuff, none of that stuff exists anymore. And you're just like, man, did we fall asleep at the wheel?
Yeah.
Is that just a part of the change that's beyond?
Well, I don't know if it's that we fell asleep at the wheel, but I do know we are in a place right now where the reality of our circumstances is we have allowed some things to go on without ever addressing them. And a society combined with its laws has eroded into a place where it is wildly uncomfortable right now. So thank you, Mama Noise, for coming through today with this amazing show that we just did. Shout out to Albie and Ron and Cuz, who are all tied up at the moment. But we appreciate them and appreciate all the people that watched today and came through and watched the show today. We appreciate you watching on whatever platform you watched. This show actually is going to replay tomorrow. So if you missed it or if you liked it, tell a friend. It's going to replay tomorrow at 11 on this platform, on Facebook and on YouTube. And then tomorrow night, we will be live from TD Gardens with our on-site reporters, Killer Cam and Jesse. They'll be in TD Gardens tomorrow, broadcasting live for Game 3. So we'll have the 5, and we'll be talking about all of the things going on with the game tomorrow night. But we definitely appreciate the Thought Engineer for pulling up on us tonight and making it a interesting conversation, to say the least. So we'll be back with you guys on Thursday night. And, we'll hopefully have some of the crew with us, and if not, we're going to press on. And we love you guys. We appreciate you guys for always rocking with us. Thank you, Noisemakers, for being faithful to the cause. Until Thursday, we'll see y'all. Holla.